Welcome to the Moonlight Side Hustle and Business Show. I am your host, Eric Lindsay. Here at Moonlight, we choose to focus on achieving financial security, not job security. And today we are here with Bailey Lowe's. Bailey is a young entrepreneur from West Frankfort and the proud owner of the Downtown Fizz. Located in the former Smoothie King space, her shop offers specialty sodas, lemonades, boba, energy drinks, and more. Bailey's passion for creative beverages and community has made the Downtown Fizz a go-to spot for refreshing drinks and friendly service. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Bailey.
Thank you. I'm happy to be on it.
All right. Well, we're excited about having you on. You have done some significant things within the TikTok community. We chatted offline and you were sharing how you're a part of the creator community and how that generates an income for you. And just seeing some of your videos, they've reached into the millions. And so I'm super excited about learning more about that and some more details relating to your business as well. But before we get into that, if you could share just a little bit more about yourself and also how you got started in business, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I'm only 23 and I originally went to college to be a teacher. So that's what I thought my career was going to be. But shortly into my teaching career, I realized that I didn't really enjoy it. I don't really have like a business background myself at all, but my mom owns her own business, and my stepdad, he was self-employed as well. So I kind of had people in my life who were, so I kind of looked up to them. And so since I noticed quickly that I didn't really like the career that I was in. So I kind of chose something that I could do on the side while I was still a teacher. And I had kind of seen this idea on TikTok and just other places. And I had seen that it was popular, but not really in my area. So I thought it could be a unique thing that I could maybe try and introduce and see how well it did. So it started just as a weekend hobby while I was still a teacher. And then I quickly put in my resignation. I just taught for one school year. And after I quit teaching, it became my full-time job.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite the adventure. So after 1 year, you just decided to exit the workforce and go full-time as an entrepreneur. So that's amazing. But I love you being proactive like that. And there's something to be said about that as well. As a younger person, that is the time to take a few more risks. So I'm a middle-aged guy. So I'm 45 years old and I've got a wife, children. So I've got more responsibilities. I'm not sure about your living situation as far as if you have a significant other or children, et cetera, but you have less overhead. And so that would be the more ideal time to be able to take more risks. So hats off to you for that. What was the catalyst as far as did you have to achieve a certain amount of income before you felt comfortable letting your W-2 go? Or what was the pushing point, or were you just burning the boats?
I was not living at home at the time. I lived with a guy that I was dating that I'm no longer dating, but I lived 2 hours away from home in the town that I went to college in. So I ended up staying there. And so I didn't live at home. But I wasn't the person who paid the rent or anything like that. So I contributed some, but there wasn't that like scary responsibility. Like, oh, if I quit, I'm not going to make rent or anything like that. And so it was still risky because people that I worked with and some people like that were in my life at the time, they kind of like judged me for it and stuff like that. Like, oh, I can't believe that you're quitting your job for something that you don't even know if it's going to work. Because when I put in my resignation, it was nothing like it is now. Like I didn't even have my soda trailer by that point. I literally just had my table set up that I was bringing to craft fairs and stuff like that. But I was like, I can't teach anymore. So I'm just going to take the risk and kind of see what happens.
Well, it's still smart though, because you're so young, 23 years old, you still have a lot of life ahead of you. And even if you do make some mistakes along the way, there's so much time to recover. So there's a thought leader by the name of Gary Vee, and he's a strong advocate of making mistakes young if you're going to make some mistakes. And sometimes, like in your scenario, it's actually working out for you. So things that really on a positive trajectory. You're getting 11 million views on a TikTok video. So things seem to be on a positive road for you. But you're young enough, even if things did kind of take a step back, you could still recover. So what have you done? You mentioned that you had a booth of some sort when you first started off, and now you've graduated to like a store. Give us a little details on that. How did you make it work? How did you get it off the ground?
So when I first had the idea, like I said, I was still a teacher. And so every month I was taking most of my teaching paycheck and putting it towards things to buy, like purees and syrups and the tables and stuff like that. Because I was still teaching, so I was taking my paychecks from that and literally having like none to myself, because I mean it was going towards bills, and then what was left after that was going towards forming this business. And so when I first started out, I set up at craft and vendor fairs every weekend, and I had two tables that I would haul around in the trunk of my SUV, and chairs, and I had to put everything in the back of my car and lug it all to craft fairs. And then I did that for probably around December, the same month that I had started everything. It was super risky, but I had bought a camper off of Facebook Marketplace while everything was still very new. I had only done like 2 vendor events with my table set up. And my stepdad, he builds houses and everything like that. And so he helped me renovate the inside of this camper into what it is now. There's counters in it and like a 3-compartment portable sink and just everything. It's like a miniature soda shop on wheels, basically. And that was done in June, only a month after I was done teaching. So as soon as I got done teaching, I wasn't really doing the table setup anymore. I jumped straight into my soda trailer. And then I was in the trailer from June until this past December, so about another 6 months. And then this past December is when I found the building that I'm in now.
Okay. And so in total, how long have you been in business now?
I officially started it in December of 2023.
Okay, nice. Well, congratulations to you. That's amazing. You're having some amazing success. And so if you can describe exactly what your business is, and also how much would it cost for another person to be able to start? So it's one thing to see a video on TikTok or to look at something on YouTube and really question if it's authentic or if it's really a valid business. But here we have a person that's actually doing in real time, operating a business of your sort. So to have you be able to share details that you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis is amazing. But if you could share with the listeners exactly what type of business that you operate, and also how much does it cost to start a business like yours?
So it's a specialty soda shop, but I don't just have soda. I have soda, lemonade, energy drinks, boba, and I take just regular soda, fountain soda, and I kind of just make it specialty. I have flavored purees, syrups, creams like coconut cream and half, to make it like the dirty sodas that are really popular. And the boba is really popular. You can put boba in any of the flavors. So it's basically like a coffee shop, but with soda, is what I kind of explain to people who don't really know like what a specialty soda shop is. And because it's the same concept, just with soda instead of coffee. The way that I started it isn't how everyone normally starts it. So it was a lot easier for me to start it how I did it with the table set up and then to the trailer and then to the shop, rather than if I were to have just dropped everything and immediately started with the building. And so since I started very small, I paid for everything that I've done has been out of pocket. I haven't had to take out any like business loans or anything like that because of how I've done it in like a step-by-step process instead of just jumping and doing like all of the big stuff. Yeah, so I mean I had to, like I said, I just used what was out of my teaching paycheck and bought the small stuff like the tables, and then I gradually built up money from those events and bought the trailer, and then I was doing the trailer and I saved up my money from that to and then I found my building and I signed the lease on that with money that I had been saving from my trailer events.
So, what would be a safe amount for a person that attempted to start a business like yours? What would you recommend? Now that you're on the other side, you're profitable, you actually have a space. What would be a safe amount for a person that looks to follow in your footsteps? What should they be able to save or have in savings to be able to start a business like yours?
Well, to be honest, I did it the very risky way. I had less than $1,000 in my savings and barely enough to pay the deposit and the rent on my building. But I also have very supportive parents, and I knew that if I wasted all of my money on something that didn't work out, that I mean, I wouldn't really be out anything besides just that money. But if I were to put like a dollar amount,
you have to have like the soda machine, correct? There's things that come with that to make it correctly, I would assume. And so you at least want to have that. And would you recommend having a store or going the route that you went as far as buying a RV or, some kind of fifth wheel?
it's definitely, if you're first starting out, I feel like it's definitely safer to start with something that you don't owe money on, or like a lease or anything like that. If you're not for sure how it's going to go, that way if something does happen, you are not stuck in a lease that you're not able to pay. Or with the trailer, you're safer. Like I bought the trailer off a marketplace and like straight up with money. I didn't owe on it or anything. And so I didn't have to, and that's also a good way to save up money because you're not paying on anything. I drove that around, and even though, I was running out of space and all of that, I didn't always have the means to just lease an entire building, but I did have, I had to have enough to, the installation of my like soda machine was free. I just had to buy the product, and just the soda by itself was close to $700 to start off.
Were you buying this soda directly from the manufacturer, or were you going to the 7-Eleven and or Walmart or Sam's Club? What's the secret sauce on that?
So when I had the table set up and in my trailer, I used cans. So yes, I was buying it from the store, because in something like mobile like that, it's very complicated to have like a system that you have to like have a water hookup and everything too. So in my trailer, I used cans, and that did add up. But in my store, I contacted Coke directly, and then they set me up with a representative in my area. And then I know with both Coke and Pepsi, they install and give you a machine for free as long as you buy your products from them. And so that was really nice.
And as far as marketing, and so you had the trailer, you made it work from there, you had the cans, then you upgraded into the actual store and got connected with Coke and Pepsi. They hooked your machines up. How did you generate the income? And so we know that usually comes through marketing, word of mouth, whether you're, running ads, etc. What type of marketing did you use to be able to generate income?
Well, when I was still just in my trailer, I have a billboard, but to be honest, billboards, in my opinion, don't bring in that many people. Maybe a couple, but those type of advertisements, I feel like people don't really pay attention to. Mainly, Facebook is huge. I remember as soon as I had posted that I had signed that lease, I obviously wasn't in the building yet. I had signed the lease, and then I shortly had an event that I set up at in my trailer, and I had people coming up to me saying, "Oh, you're the girl who leased that building down the street." Like people knew it, and the post had only been up for like a day. And yeah, and because at this point, I used TikTok, but my TikTok has grown so much just since I have gotten in my building, that before that TikTok wasn't really a thing. It was mainly Facebook. But now that I'm in the building, TikTok and Facebook have been the biggest things for advertisement.
Okay, and so that's a perfect transition into TikTok. And so I'm eager to learn your strategies on that. And so if you can, share some details on it. So you've got a video. I looked at your TikTok account when I was just kind of researching you and et cetera. I saw one video at 1 million and some change, but you said that you've got a video that's received somewhere around 11 million views. And so, what's the secret sauce? Are you using special cameras? What's the strategy behind this?
Well, definitely no special cameras. I just used the 0.5 camera on my phone. I feel like one of the complicated things about TikTok is that, you can try your best and post like the best video that you think that you've ever posted, and it get like basically no views. And then you can post something that you just absolutely do not care about, and you're like, whatever. And then that's the one that goes viral. It just seems like, I feel like there's not really like a strategy. I feel like consistency is the biggest thing. Like, you can't post once and expect it to get 11 million views. That happens in very rare cases. People blow up overnight, but that is not the case most of the time.
So how often were you posting, and how long have you been posting?
So I've gone through phases. Like I said, I posted some when I was teaching, and those didn't really get any views at all. And so I stopped posting. And then I posted at the start of last summer, right when I started my trailer, I posted consistently like 1 to 3 times a day from like last June until probably like late August for those couple months. And I got up to 5,000 followers then. And then I don't know, I guess I got bored, or I didn't know what to post. And so I didn't post until I went from like September to late November without posting anything. And I think I had like 6,000 followers. And I didn't start posting again until I had signed the lease for my shop. And that's when I started posting again. That was at the beginning of last December. And then even then, I didn't really have a video that went viral until the beginning of January, because that's when I started like renovating my shop. I was painting the walls and everything, and I just kind of sat. I propped my phone up and just recorded things that I was already doing, and then put a voiceover over it, because that was easiest for me.
They were excited about watching the renovation, the fact that you had leased or bought a building to actually put your new business within. And so was that the biggest driver? Is there any other secret sauce to that? Or is it only that? And how many times a day were you posting when you were able to hit those viral views?
Ever since I started posting again in December, I've been posting like 1 to 2 times a day. Most of the time, only one, because running a business, I don't really have time to record myself constantly. So now I only post like once a day. But yeah, I feel like I posted videos of me renovating, and just like the difference, like befores and afters of what I've done, because I didn't do any major renovations. The most I did was I painted the walls and I put counters in. I didn't do anything crazy. And I think people were just they were just interested by what I was doing. And to be honest, one of the videos that went viral, like that's the one that has like a little over 1 million views. I mean, just like every other renovation video I had posted, there was nothing special, but it people were starting to give me hate comments. And the more people who commented hateful things, the more people saw the video. And even though people were just like straight up like bullying me in the comments, like it was just making the video go more viral. And so it wasn't doing the effect that they were trying to do, but that's kind of how it works. I mean, you have like a random video that more people see than normal, and then the more people who comment on it, the more people see it. And then I posted a video of my grand opening, and that is the one that got 11 million views. And of course, that one I don't get paid from that one because it's not a minute long.
It's got to be a minute long in order to get paid on it?
Yeah, so once you hit 10,000 followers, you can join the TikTok Creator Fund. And there's certain guidelines to the videos for you to get paid from it. So they have to be at least a minute long. And it depends on how many people watch your video all the way through and how many people interact with you. There's just a bunch of different things that go into how much you get paid for that video. I had every intention of making like what I normally did. Like I was going to record me like the day of my grand opening and put like a voiceover over it or something. But I ended up being so busy on the day of my grand opening that I didn't record anything. And so I put together just some random clips that my friends had taken of all of the cars in the parking lot and the cars wrapped around the building and down the street. And I just put music over it, and it got 11 million views. And it was like 10 seconds long.
So you had that big of a turnout on your grand opening?
Yes, I had. I mean, I was open from 10 to 6. And I mean, the second that I turned the open sign on, like, and the first car came, I didn't sit down all day. And at this point, I hadn't hired any employees yet. And so it was my friends and family helping me.
Well, congrats on the success. It's definitely working out really well for you. So you're in the TikTok creators. Is it club or group?
Fund. It's like a TikTok creator fund. That's what it's called. Or creator rewards program is another word for it.
Okay. And so how do you go about getting into that? You've got to have 10,000 followers and then you just enroll into the program?
Yes. So once you hit 10,000 followers, there's something that you can go into your settings, and there's an option that you can click that says Creator Rewards Program, and it'll have you have to verify your identity, like give them your social security number and like your tax ID number, and just verify that you're you. And then once you're verified, you hook up your PayPal, because that's how they pay you, is it goes into your PayPal every month. And then, yeah, it's pretty simple. Once your identity is verified and you have videos that qualify, then you start getting paid. And then you can kind of see, like, there's an estimated rewards option that you can look at throughout the month, because you only get paid once a month. But that's not completely accurate. It's just an estimated. So I remember I just got paid for the first month on February 15th. That's the first time that I got paid from TikTok. And I remember it was like half of what my estimated rewards said that it would be. It's not a super accurate, because you don't know what you're going to get paid until like the day that you get paid. It's just like an estimation.
Okay. So you just know it's going to be somewhere between these numbers. Okay. All right. Hey, two last questions for you in regards to TikTok. So first off, how did you react when TikTok went down because of the ban? How did you handle that?
At that point, I think I hit 10,000 followers like 3 days before it got banned. So I was I was upset and I was annoyed that I was like, oh my gosh, of course, like the day before the TikTok ban is when I can join the Creator Fund. But I didn't have as many as I was now. So I feel like if it happened now, I would be like way more distraught.
And what are you doing to prepare just in case it does happen altogether?
I mean, TikTok it's kind of like, it's not my main income. So I would be very sad, obviously, but it's not like I'm depending on this money to live. it's nice to have. And it's how because I don't pay myself for my business at this point. TikTok pays me, and that's my money for the month. But if it were to, for some reason, go away again, I would pay myself from my business.
I think that's a smart way to be anyway. Instead of depending on some platform in which you don't own to generate you income and bring in income to you, it's much better to have something that's much more sustainable, such as your own business, to be able to take care of you and provide for you. So, hey, Bailey, congrats to all the success and wishing you much more. And I could tell you're gonna definitely have some great things ahead of you. We're going to turn the page within the show. We've got a portion that we like to call our Moonlight Coaching Round. And typically what we do is ask a few questions. If you could hold your response between 1 to 2 minutes per question, that'd be great. The first question that I have for you is, how many hours a week do you recommend a person invest into building their business to have a successful business like yours?
You definitely have to work more than like a 40-hour regular work week. You can't have it in your head that you can only put forth so many hours of work and then just your business like make itself, basically. Like I actually just made a TikTok about how many hours that I worked last week, and I worked 56 and a half hours, and that was only in the shop. That wasn't involving like picking up orders or anything like that. So definitely more than like the average working person.
Yeah. And so that's the huge misnomer with entrepreneurs. A lot of times you see the flash and you see the videos about the people with really nice cars and making good incomes, but what's not being told is the amount of effort and difficulties and headaches and hours that they're putting in. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. The next question that I have for you is, what kind of advice could you offer someone about dealing with mistakes, staying determined, and knowing when to pivot within a business?
When you own a business, it's important that you are a disciplined person and that you also are willing to learn from other people. If you're very like stuck in your own ideas and you don't really conform to what you have to like look at your audience or the people that you're trying to serve or anything like that, and kind of be willing to shape your ideas around what you think they will receive well.
Okay, next question. If a person had minimal amounts of time, no money or experience, but they wanted to start and scale a business like yours, what would you recommend for them to do?
I always tell people to start very small. Don't go taking out business loans because you don't think that you have enough money to start a business, because that is how things go very badly. I mean, I was a teacher and I didn't have enough money or time to really do anything. So I just bought the bare minimum and I took my weekends and I did craft fairs. And then after I made money from craft fairs, I bought the trailer. And then when I had the trailer, I bought the building. I feel like it's a lot easier and a lot safer to do it in those small steps.
Starting off small instead of getting in debt and creating a bunch of bills is definitely going to be a much more profitable endeavor for you, because if you're taking on a load of loans, that's how income that's going to go out. And so it's going to turn into expenses. And before you know it, it can eat up your profit, the income that you have coming in. So the name of the game is spend as little as possible and create as little amount of debt as possible. So I think that's a great strategy. Also, what advice would you give anyone regarding balancing business and life? And so I know you're a younger person. You don't have a huge load of responsibilities at this point, but what could you give as far as advice pertaining to balancing business and life?
So I will say it's very hard to do, but it is possible. And I try to do things at the shop when I'm there, when I have free time, but it's not always possible to do, because when you own a small business, you wear all the hats. You have to run the social media unless you hire somebody else. You are working all day and then you have to come home and do a bunch of other things. So it is very hard, but I always try to anything work related do when I'm at the shop. And occasionally if it's a really busy day, I do have to come home. Like last night I made a flyer when I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep. Sometimes you have to do things like that, but just try to like keep work related things like at the building instead of bringing them home and trying to do everything 24/7.
Yeah, it's really difficult to separate things, especially in the beginning when you're trying to get the business off the ground. It's a huge challenge. And so you're putting in so much time. It's so demanding that it's hard to carve out life outside of business. So I definitely know the struggle on that. The last question I have for you, Bailey, is what would be the best advice you could give someone about operating a profitable business in terms of finance? And so when I say in terms of finance, I'm referring to how much income and advice about generating income, advice in regards to expenses, taxes, paying yourself. What type of advice could you give to someone in regards to business finance?
Do your like necessities first before you even start your business. I mean, don't go into debt. Make sure that you're paying all of your regular bills. And then if you have some left over, put it aside. And then keep putting it aside until you have enough to do whatever you want to do, like file for your LLC or lease a building or whatever you need to do. Just save as much as you can. And then once you have built up enough is when you can start instead of just starting and not being smart about it.
Yeah, so I know I made a huge mistake when I first got started in business. I had generated some significant amount of income and I tried to grow way too fast. And so I spent way too much. I had too many expenses going out and wasn't watching how profitable I actually was to make sure I had enough income covering the expenses. And so what you're saying is spot on. You definitely want to save and keep the expenses to a minimal in order to make sure that you're operating a profitable business. And so great suggestions to each one of those questions. Before we let you go, could you share with the Moonlight audience exactly what type of strategy you use for educating? Do you prefer reading? Do you prefer like audio books or maybe even following thought leaders, watching YouTube videos? What's your preferred method of educating?
I would say definitely videos. I'm not a big like reader or anything like that. And I'm like a visual learner. So, I mean, watching videos and hearing, like watching people do things is probably what I prefer.
Okay, Bailey. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming out onto the show. You shared a lot of information, gave us some tips on how to go viral on TikTok, and hopefully, no more bans comes down the pike. But we just don't ever know what's in the near future. But we do appreciate you coming on to the show. If someone wanted to reach out to you and connect, what's a good way for them to do so?
I'm very active on any social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So any of those, whatever you can find me on, basically.
Okay, guys. Well, reach out to Bailey. She's got a huge TikTok account. She's doing some really good things on there. So definitely reach out to her and send her some messages through there. Bailey, once again, thanks for coming on to the show. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Thank you for having me.